All right. Good afternoon, everybody. It's Dr. Sean Brewer, your physical therapy application coach, and excited to have Tristan on today to share with us his great pre-PT success story, as well as his experience here with us physical therapy application coach. Tristan, thank you for taking the time to jump on with us today.
Thanks, Sean.
Great. So Tristan has some really cool experiences, both from like his upbringing, his personal life, as well as his pre-PT application. So I want to give him as much time as possible to be able to share this with us. So Tristan, go ahead and just give us a little bit of background about where you're from and a little bit about you kind of leading up to when you got ready to apply to PT school.
All right, thanks, Sean. Well, my name is Tristan, and graduated from high school at Orm School, Arizona, which is a little boarding school out in the middle of nowhere. And I grew up also in a little town in the middle of nowhere. So I'm, I used that in my PT application, and that was something that was really unique about me. And never be afraid to brag about something that's unique to you. So I then attended community college and did that for a year or two online while I worked. Took a brief pause from school and then decided I wanted to go back to school for exercise science. During about my first year in my undergrad at NAU, I decided to pursue the path of physical therapy. During this time, COVID was happening, and I was in search of volunteer hours and any opportunity to give me a little edge in my application process. And through lots of phone calls and persistence, I was able to get a couple jobs during the summer, which I believe really helped me. One, knowing that I wanted to pursue PT further, and another with my application process and getting to know certain clinicians and physical therapists to write me, nice solid letters of recommendation, which helps out very much. And then as application season kind of rolled around, I was trying to look up online every possible way I could get, extra information on how to really make my application stand out. And along the way on YouTube, I found Sean's PT application coach videos and seminars and pre-recorded lectures. And I started watching those and a little bit of the recordings that he had with other students and their successes, and realized that, if I really want to go all in on this, I would love to have a mentor. I'd love to have someone who's been through the process and who knows what they're looking for, so that all this money and time that I'm spending on my career is going to pay off as much as possible. And so I found Sean and his crew, and at first I was going in, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do it. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to spend them. Oh, I'm going to do it. And, finally, as it got closer and closer and I became more sure and more sure of that this is what I wanted to do, I finally, bit the bullet and signed up. And it was probably the best decision that, I could have made during that application process. Sean and Kyle helped me out so much in just figuring out what I wanted to write about. There was so much in my head that I thought, well, maybe this is good, but oh, maybe this is good. And of course, you only have so much characters you can use to write. And I think that's the hardest part, is staying within those guidelines and saying everything that you want to say. And just, Sean and Kyle did a great job with telling me certain things that are, really special and that you should be bragging about. And that, you shouldn't be afraid to talk highly about yourself, which is sometimes really hard to do, and Sean and Kyle just gave me the confidence to be able to speak my life, tell my story, and overall get me accepted to the school that I, had dreamed about getting into. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks, Tristan. That's a great wind up for everybody, right? I think something that briefly we talked about before was the fact that you went from Arizona to Michigan to get observation hours in a PT tech job.
Yep. All the way across the country.
Like, talk about persistence, man, especially during
Yeah.
COVID when people were just kind of phoning it in. They're like, oh, there's no way. But you mentioned like you had phone calls with like family members that were PTs, and then you just kept like hustling your network, and
Or
then
I
that
wish I
led
had
to
family
an
members that were
opportunity.
PT. But yeah, yeah. Because that my family members, their neighbor.
Your
And
neighbor.
so it's like just finding those connections, who knows who, and just kind of jumping in and throwing yourself out there and allowing people to see your persistence and dedication to what you're trying to get done.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think you're probably the first person we've ever had that's done that. That's gone to that length for observation hour. So props to you, man. You're gonna hold that
Yeah,
title
thanks.
probably forever. Um, and I loved so many of the other things that you shared as well about if you're gonna do this and you're gonna invest all this time, energy, and money, you don't want to do this halfway, right? And
No.
having someone who can help you like get it as pristine as possible so you can maximize your options, get it done, get it right. And then, as you mentioned, you got accepted into the school of your dreams, as well as several other programs, right?
Yeah.
Um, so ultimately, where did you decide to, if it's signing day for sports, whose hat are you putting on for PT school?
Lumberjacks, NAU.
There we go, man.
Yeah, there you go. I forgot to mention that part.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's super exciting. Obviously, I'm biased. I'm a lumberjack as well. So,
Yeah.
and then the Flagstaff campus, right?
Yep.
Cool, cool. Well, you'll have a blast up there, man. And I think it's just so fun to look back and to see like you mentioned. The other thing I really wanted to harp on was the importance of like being able to share what's unique about you. Like I didn't know about Arco Santi before I met you. This little town in
Right.
Arizona, right? It has this really
Yeah.
cool history to it, and this all these people who come to it every year, right? Um,
Hmm.
and I think just being able to capitalize on that and on the things that it's like, I'm gonna remember that. It's like I will never forget you because of that story. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's
Yeah.
ingrained in my brain, and I think that's every applicant has something like that. Like no two applicants have the exact same story, as similar as you may seem as other pre-PTs. You have your own life experience, and being able to capitalize on that and share that with people and realize that it actually is special and unique, which is hard because that's all you know. All you know is your own.
Right.
So
Yeah, that was another thing that was super special, about just having you guys there and bringing out what you really need to talk about and how making yourself finding that one little piece that you might not think is important, but that will make you stand out to someone who's seen other applications and knows what kind of everyone else says, but knows what they haven't seen before. And to bring out that one thing that'll make the person reading your application remember you and almost like kind of want to meet you. I think that was really special that I took away from especially like our first coaching call.
for sure, for sure, and then that also will help you translate over into interviews as well, right? Like having pride in those unique experiences, and it's also really easy then at that point to be like, I don't have to like stiff arm another applicant and be like, oh, well, I'm better than this person. It's just about like owning your own story,
Right.
being able to share that with people. And I think for applicants, it's really refreshing to kind of look back. And that's my favorite part is when they look at their application in total and they've been doing all of these things and jumping through all these hoops. But when you look back and you see the person you've become as a result of those experiences, um, that's where the magic happens. And that's when people
Hmm.
realize like, I do really want to do this. This is important to me. Like my actions have impact and meaning in the lives of the people I interact with.
Right.
And so it's just cool. And for me as a coach, and I know Kyle as well, and it's a matter of getting an opportunity to see those individuals, and realize that like no one is the same. Like
Right.
I have had everyone has their own story. Out of the thousands of people that we've worked with, it is no one is exactly the same, even though we are tempted constantly to feel like we're exactly the same as the person next to us.
Hmm.
So I think it's well said, man, and so excited for you to be able to, get accepted into four of the was it five, 4 or 5 of the programs,
Four out of five.
4 out of 5.
Yeah.
awesome, right? Have options, be able to go to your dream school, and now go live the dream up in Flagstaff, become a PT.
Yep. I'm super excited, and it's worth all the hard work and money spent and time spent to finally get to that, stage where you get accepted and you have, the whole summer and maybe even a couple months prior to that if you graduated early to just relax and get ready.
Yeah, be prepped, decompress a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, so what advice would you give to pre-PTs that are coming up, the next generation that's coming up behind you? What advice would you give to them, especially I mean, thinking about like all the stuff that you did during the pandemic to get your observation hours and everything you did to work on your application. If you could distill it down into a couple of nuggets of wisdom, what would you share with them?
Yeah, lots of stuff that I feel like is good, but I think the one thing that really helped me finally realize that this is something that I'm fully jumping into was like just the determination. And once you think you get to a dead end, just keep searching because there's always another door that can be open. And take it one day at a time. Don't feel like you need to get everything done in a week or in a day. And but pace yourself, like, because a lot of us are in school while we're trying to figure all these things out, like give yourself like maybe an hour or two on the weekend or, a couple hours during the week. Like don't overwhelm yourself too much because burnout's a real thing, and if we do too much at one time it can feel very overwhelming. But if we start early and do a little bit at a time, it's just like compounding interest kind of thing, a little bit at a time. And you'll finally feel yourself opening and walking through that door. Another thing is, all this stuff, it takes a lot of time, money, and if you're going in it and you want to do it, you might as well go all the way and jump on in. You got to be paying for tests, you have to be paying for applications, you got to be paying for your time to go to school, to volunteer. And if the price to pay for someone to really give you that upper edge and make you feel special and know what part of your story to bring out, um, I think that is the most crucial part in tying everything in together. And in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that it's not expensive at all. And it provides you with so much benefit. It's amazing. Like as soon as I got on that coaching call, I felt like everything just kind of honed in and I was finally on that line. Before that, it was like everything was like all over the place. It was all up here. And then it finally just, and then I was able to, you know, kind of breathe a little easier with everything that was going on, knowing that I had, some coaches in my corner to help me through.
That's
And it's
awesome,
worth
man.
it. It's worth the amount of stress that you have going through all this with by yourself. Now you have two other people who have been through the whole thing, who are professionals and have a great level of expertise. Makes you feel a lot more comforted.
That's great. Thank you, Tristan.
Yeah.
I love I love both of those pieces. Looking at like our favorite thing as coaches is when applicants are just like steady, right? Not this like, hey, I'm applying next month. I haven't done anything. What do I need to do? So it's like, ooh,
That's
you can
big.
do it. It's
Yeah.
exhausting, but you can do it. It's brutal. But
Hmm.
I love that, just pacing yourself and doing like this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. Just pace yourself out. Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, I don't know if I thank you. There's nothing better and something that makes us feel happier than to have people actually feel that way. Because like we said, we know when you're applying to PT school, you're already like, man, I'm paying for this, I'm paying for this. But that clarity and that moment of you're like, I have focus, I have intention, I have purpose, and you've done all the work, you've done all these things, but how do you get it to funnel together into a cohesive
Yep.
narrative?
Yeah, exactly. How to get it all cohesively together. Because there's nothing worse than spending a bunch of money and time and still be confused about what you're trying to be getting done, you
For
know?
sure. For sure, man. For sure. Well, Tristan, it's been a treat, and thank you so much for giving us time to see your insights and your perspective. I know there's pre PTs out there who are going to be inspired by your level of determination, your level of focus and also your appreciation for physical therapy application coach. Like there's a lot of people out there who may be on the fence like you
Hmm.
were when you were watching testimonial videos, and that helped you be like,
Yep.
you know what, these people are real. These are real applicants who are getting into real schools, and have their own real stories to share. So thank you so much, and best of luck with everything at NAU. I know you're going to kill it out there and have a blast. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any other questions or concerns. You're in the family forever, and we're dedicated to your success now and in the future.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate you both so much and everything you guys do.
Thanks, Tristan. Take care, man.